A lot of like Americans, when they raise their kids, they raise them to be very independent. Whereas I feel like we weren't raised to be independent.
No, we were not.
We were raised to be completely dependent. And then you come here and you're just like, oh, now I got to do all of this myself.
Yeah. The gap that existed between life in India and life in the US and the opportunities has closed quite a bit over the past few years.
The frugal mindset.
That becomes part of your DNA. And you are thinking about creative ways to do more with less. When we were talking about like be prepared to fight, I mean, it includes fight for immigration as well.
When you think about infrastructures that actually power global commerce at scale, there are very few people who have built at that level. Kushal Khatri is one of them. He's an engineering leader, technology executive who has spent his career working on large-scale data systems, AI, and the kind of infrastructures that most people never see, but almost every major brand depends on. Kushal came to the US from India to pursue his master's in computer science at USC with a clear intention to build something meaningful. And over the last 15 years, he has done exactly that. Today, he's the Chief Technology Officer at Feedonomics, where he has helped build a platform that processes over 1 trillion product data rows every single month, powering Fortune 500 companies, global brands, and marketplaces, as well as advertising ecosystems around the world. But beyond that, this one's personal. Kushal and his wife Himani were some of our earliest friends in LA. We have seen each other grow through different phases of our life, career, and everything in between. So this isn't just a conversation about technology or scale. It's also about the thinking behind it. Kushal, welcome to the Learning Lounge.
Thank you so much. Thanks for such a nice introduction. And thank you both for having me here and to the entire team, actually. I am really excited, truly honored to be here, to be a part of this space, this initiative that you have created, where learning is at the center of it. And it's all about propagating learning. So I'm excited to have this conversation and to learn from both of you as well.
That's great. So Kushal, obviously we met back in 2015 or 16?
Probably around that, 2015.
We had just moved to LA 2014 and we obviously met through a few common friends who we shall not name here.
Yeah.
But I think we have seen each other, grow up. And we were kids back in the day, right? We didn't have kids, we were probably the most irresponsible back then. Now with just like you have one and we have two. Life feels so different.
It is.
Than when it was back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, we were still in our late 20s, I guess.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Life was easy or seemed easy at that point, right? Easy. It was very ad hoc. Go with the flow kind of a life, right?
It was free flow. Do whatever you want to do in the moment.
Exactly. And it has changed so much since then.
But you obviously came to LA way before that, right? What year was that?
2007 is when I reached US to pursue my master's from USC.
Yeah. How was that experience for you? I mean, just how old were you back then?
I was 21. So right out of my bachelor's, right out of college, I never worked in India. So I finished my bachelor's in India and came right to the US right away. It was a very intentional decision. So while I was doing my bachelor's, there was something that was just not complete. It was just not clicking. It was not scratching that itch that I had, so to say. And while I was doing my bachelor's, I made this decision that I'm going to be pursuing higher education somewhere.
In the US?
The US decision kind of came about later, but I just knew that I'm going to be going out of India to kind of pursue higher education.
But did you have like role models who were doing that? What the
That's
trigger
a good question. So my cousin, one of my cousins was already in the US back then. And he had finished his master's. He went to University of Texas, Austin. So he did his master's from there. He was well settled. He was working at IBM back then, I think. So like from a career and professional standpoint, he was a role model back then. So I consulted him, I talked to him, we chatted about options and stuff. And, that's how I got here.
And so did you know what were the options back then that you were looking at?
So US was always the first choice for everyone back then, right? If you want to go to, if you want to go outside of the India and you want to study more, I mean, US is an obvious default choice.
And was really like looked up to. Like I remember it was for a lot of our audience, like people who are from India, they would kind of get it, but I think for others they wouldn't, which is like this, it almost feels like this unattainable, distant dream, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna go build my life in the promised land of America,
And that is why probably it's even more fascinating for people.
That's why it's called the American dream, right?
American dream.
Yeah. So you hear about it, you see it in the movies, you wanna experience it, you wanna live that dream, right? Honestly, the desire to be at the best place possible kind of got me to just invest completely in pursuing higher studies in the US.
Just because we're on the subject of education and really like the early building blocks of who you are today, right? Like you are a C-suite executive in technology in America today. Do you think our diaspora has this unfair advantage almost especially in like technology, doctors, law, like in those specialized fields based off of our schooling? Do you think it's just like we just have, because again, there's so many C-suite folks, who are of our diaspora out in the industry, especially in technology today. Like, do you think is there like almost like a secret sauce of like the way schools prepare us or like?
I think it's a mix of a few things. It's how early education and how there's so much stress on science. As we say in India, I mean, you're either a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer at max, right? Yeah. I mean, those are, at least back then in 80s and 90s, those were literally the only three options that were given to you, right? So from a very early age, you're conditioned to just think on those streams, right? And then education backs it up, I think, right? That's how the education is structured and modeled in India as well. So I think it's a combination of those two. It's how you are conditioned, how you were nurtured, and how you grew back then in India, and what your parents used to talk to you about, and then how education was kind of backing it up and kind of modeling it that way as well.
I'm just curious, Kushal, if you were to apply today to a university here, what are some key subjects that you would be interested in, knowing the AI technology boom that is?
I mean, again, is computer science
still
like
valid?
Is it still relevant as a subject or as a major or
it's
a degree?
Such a hard topic, right? I honestly feel right now we are at a pretty major inflection point in the education industry. I mean, we all know it, right? So the education sector is still very typical, traditional, right? It has not adapted yet. I think it is
in India here or both, or you'll say universally?
I think it's universal. I don't think it has adapted to the shifts that we are seeing in the industry with AI. I was chatting with a professor a while back, and he was like, gosh, it's so hard for us now. I mean, we are handing out these assignments, these projects, right? And there's no way you can stop anyone to use AI. And why do we even have to stop anyone, right? I mean, we should be encouraging them to start using AI. But then how do you assess their performance? What do you kind of grade them on? How do you evaluate them? So nobody, like right now, education industry has not figured that out yet. They're trying to adapt in real time to all these shifts. And these shifts are so rapid that by the time they set something up, something new has come up, right? And it just puts everything that you have prepared for like in the trash bin, right?
So would you say, like, for the folks who are currently enrolled in these programs, how do they set themselves for success when they're like still struggling to figure? And I was like, what are your teachers telling you? Like professors in the university, they're like, they just don't teach us coding. They're saying just
Use all these
ChatGPT
tools.
or use all these tools to
Exactly.
so
So I think like there are two things that I think people should keep in mind. One is I think education that we have today is still relevant. I think it still brings strong foundations, and those strong foundations are still pretty important, at least right now, or at least it will be for the next few years, next decade or so. That said, you cannot just completely rely on education anymore. I think self-learning is pretty important right now.
Yeah.
And there are no courses, no programs that teach you about AI the way AI will teach you. So if you want to learn about AI,
learn from
start
AI.
using AI and ask AI,
Yeah.
right? That's the best teacher that you have right now, to be honest.
So are there any tools that you would recommend to?
Claude in general is pretty popular and prominent. It's especially in the technology and software industry right now. Probably the best coding tool. And like you said, like you were asking, like you don't really have to learn coding anymore. I think that abstraction layer has shifted upwards. I think technology has gone through so many evolutions, right, over decades, right? This is a pretty big one. But we have gone through many of these in the past. What happens in each of these evolution phases is the abstraction layer continues shifting upwards, right? 30 years ago, people were writing low-level language code, right? That used to directly interface with the hardware, right? You had these languages like COBOL, and then C came in, then C++.
Right.
These were lower level languages, and then we started kind of shifting, and these languages were no more relevant, right? In 2000s, right? We started kind of adapting kind of Python and other languages like Golang now, right?
Yeah.
What is it now?
Golang is one of
Golang?
Yeah, so it was built at Google a while back, probably a decade ago or so. But yeah, the point is that the abstraction layer or abstraction level continues shifting up. And this is a pretty major shift now where people will not have to even learn how to code, but you still need to be able to learn how to review code and how to make sense of it, to understand what it's doing, right? And that's what software engineers are primarily doing now.
So tell me this. Can't I generate code from Claude?
Yeah.
Copy it and paste it on ChatGPT and go like, can you explain to me in simple human terms?
So that's what a lot of like modern day engineers and builders are doing. Like what people are doing now is building this fleet of agents that goes across the whole cycle, and it's not just used for coding.
So could you share, like, coming from India, doing your school and during your bachelor's, is there anything that has stuck with you in that you still use it in terms of leading the way
like
you
frameworks
do today?
or like methods or just...
Yeah, I think there are probably a few things. Indian society and Indian culture, at least back in 80s and 90s, I think it was, if you might agree with me, it was a very frugal culture, right?
Yeah, because India had just gotten independence in like 47, and then
There's a lot of change and
the
shit
middle class was
happening.
still like, it wasn't where it is today, right? Like it was still slowly rising up.
It was at an inflection point. There were more resources that people were getting access to, but it was still, we did not have an abundance of resources, right?
Like India had that trade thing, right? Where like foreign companies weren't allowed to, because they wanted to build their own industry, right? Like
exactly.
Coca-Cola came to India during our times. It was big. We used to have our own version, Campa-Cola.
Coca-Cola, and then McDonald's and Pizza
all
Hut.
that came in front of us.
Yeah. I mean, so it was
All
going
that
through an inflection point.
Yep.
Where modernization was kicking in, right? Globalization was kicking in, but we still grew up with not having an abundance of resources, right?
The frugal mindset.
So, I mean, you were kind of, that becomes part of your DNA, right? Growing up. And you are thinking about creative ways to do more with less, right? You
Jugaad.
I love that.
Jugaad, right? Or like we used to call, like, you have to be street smart if you want to be successful. So I think that, I feel, stays with us and will probably stay with us forever, right? And that, I think, gives us an advantage as well.
I think I was listening to a podcast by this Indian podcaster, Nikhil Kamath, and he was interviewing Ajay Banga, who's the head of World Bank. And I think Nikhil Kamath asked him, which is like, what is the one thing that has actually helped a lot of Indians really succeed, being a minority in most foreign countries, and Indians have done really, really well. And, he asked him, like, what do you think that reason is? And Ajay Banga goes like, it's the jugaad mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
for me was like, it just clicked, right? Which is
Yeah.
like, it's like you will find a way. I mean, and
Yeah.
for the audiences that don't know what jugaad is, it's the best way to explain it is it's like MacGyvering things, you know, it's just like finding a way out, you know,
Yeah.
No matter what.
being resourceful.
Yeah. You
Just figuring
find-
things out,
Just
right.
figuring things out. Like
yeah.
there's like
the
no is
solution.
not an answer, you know, you just
Yeah.
gotta find like, you know,
Yeah.
the
It's a
how.
solution mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think it's that drive that we have where we are always in the space of trying to figure things out, make things work.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge advantage for us coming from India.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of Indians have succeeded. So tell me, 21, like how was it? Like how was the immigrant experience? I mean, fairly, you're still young, right?
Yeah.
Coming to a new country in a new place where you don't know people. Like how was that shift? Because like I have my own experience because like for me it was just everything was just like the other side of the coin. You know, we
opposite,
literally like
The world
where we
turns
are in
upside
LA
down.
is literally if you make a
Yep.
hole, you'll probably on the other side of the earth will be Delhi, right? And
Exactly.
even like values, even the way, you know, things were done. Like I remember college experience for like I was just used to going like, okay, this is your syllabus and you have to do this. And here you have to add like credits and this and that, and you have to choose your own classes. And I'm like, this is too many options.
And that says so much about how challenging it is for immigrants, right? Like I said, it's the exact opposite of what we have grown up with. I mean, literally, even the electric switches here are the
Yeah, it's
other
the
way
other
around.
way around.
Opposite,
Right,
I know.
so-
It's
It's
opposite. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Like it's when you turn it
Yeah.
on, it's the other way around.
the-
Yeah,
other way around.
and it's like obviously you're talking about like these small things and funny things, but it was challenging. Like I said, I mean, coming here at a very young age, you're just conditioned in a certain way in India, right? You are growing up with family. Your meals are taken care of, your laundry, and you don't have to worry about any of those things. And you come here, all of a sudden, you have to figure all of these things out by yourself.
Or like cleaning the room. And
Yeah.
I mean, also just labor in India is cheap. There's a lot of
Exactly.
help. In America,
Yeah.
there is no help, right? That's
Yeah.
why a lot of like Americans, when they raise their kids, they raise them to be very independent. Whereas
Yeah.
I feel like we weren't
We
raised to be
weren't.
independent.
No, we were not.
We were raised to be
We are very
completely dependent. And then
Yeah.
you come here and you're just like, oh, now I got to do all of this myself.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a complete shift and shock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a shock. And you are establishing life from scratch also, right?
Yeah.
So besides figuring these things out, you have to keep up with the demands of the
Yeah.
education, right? You have to find a part-time job to support yourself. You don't have a support structure, support system. So you start building that up as well with your friends and with people you meet, right? It's overwhelming, I would say, right?
And then you meet
So
some
how
like
did you-
weird people, along the journey.
And you find
How
interesting
did you,
people.
yeah. So how did you cope up during that journey? And how did you keep in touch with your family back then?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Because
so
that is also a big part.
It was so different
we didn't
back
have
then.
Skype. Like
We
when
didn't
I
have
came
Skype,
here,
yeah.
I remember there
probably
used to be
did not.
Skype came-
Yahoo Chat used to have a video function that used to be like, I don't know, like 5 frames a minute or something. It was just like so choppy.
Yeah, yeah. It was hard. I mean, those things were not easy. Like one thing that gradually and naturally helps you is how busy you stay here anyways when you get here, right? So you don't have a lot of time to process things. You are occupied by something or the other every time.
Laundry,
right?
dishes,
Yeah.
socializing.
So it's a shock, but I think
Cooking.
life takes its course. Then everybody who is with you in that time is kind of going through the same thing. So you kind of build this
Camaraderie.
camaraderie bond with people that you have arrived with, or people that you have formed friendships with. You start slowly forming a group, a support system that starts becoming your support system. So you talk about the same challenges, you talk about the same
Right.
things with them, right? And you share learnings. And I think that's kind of what keeps you going. And then, I mean, things get easy with time, obviously, things
Yeah.
settle down. So,
Yeah, I think building a sense of community would be, I mean, if I had
Yeah.
to tell, I guess, kids who are coming here now, it's like, like find your tribe, find your community. That is something
True.
really, really helpful, in the beginning. So, okay. So I would also just then probably push on to go like, how do you think kids who are coming today to America to study or to pursue their careers, right? Are there some learnings that you had back when you moved that you can share with them of things, right? That they can, not just the life part, but also how to be dialed in, how to, motivate themselves to really find the job or, ace your exams or whatever those things might be.
I would first of all recommend just throw the old playbook out of the window. things that you have grown up with that have worked in India are unlikely to work the
don't
same way
expect
here,
them.
right? Don't have those expectations. Like one thing that you get when you come here within the first few days is a huge reality check of what life in the US is versus where it gets portrayed, right? So obviously nobody portrays the challenges, the hardship and everything, but like set your expectations right when you come here. It's not going to be all, rosy and fun. Those moments will be there, but those will be rare, right?
Yep.
So be prepared to go through the hardship, learn to do things by yourself, finding a job, right? I mean, in India, like those are kind of while you are studying, those things are not natural. I mean, those are not the first things that you think about, right? Start researching, start doing your research. Yeah, exactly.
How do you suggest those young folks to, like you're saying, like be prepared for that hardship, but it is not for everybody, right? Like,
No, it is not.
Who would you say it is for, like in today's world?
I think if you really want to, like you said, I think the gap that existed between life in India and life in the US and the opportunities has closed quite a bit over the past few years.
Right.
India is, I wouldn't say it's like close to the US lifestyle now, but it's getting there, right? It's a rapidly growing country.
Minus the
It
air
is.
and the traffic.
Yeah, other problems that exist, right? But that's a good question. Who is it for? I think if you want to do something exceptional in your life and you feel that the kind of opportunities that you will be getting in India based on what you're seeing around you is not going to cut it out for you, and you want to do something more, something exceptional, and you are prepared to fight for it, is only when you should consider coming here.
That is a big one. Like
Yeah.
if you're prepared to fight for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've also seen, I think it's more, we all come from middle class families, right? Which is like, okay, we have that dream to go and make something and build something, right? Like of ourselves, right? And like this gives you that access. This gives you that. In India, like people have crazy amount of money, right? But then they are just too much in their comfort zones to even push themselves, right? I also reading this one study about like if as individuals, if you are young and you're put in these uncomfortable situations very young, in your life, it actually helps build character. It actually helps build resilience. It actually helps, right? Like the uncomfortable situation that we were in, at least like it helps me build certain emotional frameworks of how to not be codependent or not be dependent on certain folks, or like being able to be very easily shift or like live. Like today, if you ask me, oh, Karan, you have to leave everything and go move to New York, like I can do it like this because I went from Delhi to Arizona to Singapore to LA, right?
Yeah.
So it just, it's way easier. Whereas like I know like Shruti, even between us, like you moved out very late in your life, right? And for you, that shift was harder, right? Tell me about, obviously, I think your early life. Okay, you were at USC, you graduated. Tell me about like finding that first job. What did it take? How was the process? Did you also like similar to me just applied for like 200 jobs and got heard from one person?
I remember that period vividly because it was right smack in the middle of the 2008 recession. So I graduated in 2009, which was
Same
with you, right?
Same. The worst
Same-
time to
same for
graduate.
everybody.
Worst time to
Yeah.
graduate for like if you ask people over the past 40 years what was the worst 2 years to graduate, it was 2008 to 2009.
2009.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, you don't have any experience. And I'm like, oh, if you don't give me a job, I will never have any experience.
Yeah, it was interesting, right? We're probably seeing some of that even today,
Right now.
for different
we are
reasons.
heading there. Yeah.
But it was hard. It was like you said, I mean, you were applying to like hundreds of jobs and then you would get like 5 interviews, right? And of those 5, you will probably get through to the next rounds for only 1, right? So it was that hard, that challenging. I mean, I had so many friends who came with me from India, just packed up and left, right? Because there were no jobs. I mean, they were not finding any jobs.
Yeah.
And so it was easier to make that decision to just pack up and leave and figure things out back in India.
Yeah.
It took me like, I think 4 months or so to find my first job, even though I had a lot of internship experience in programming and coding. Yeah, the jobs were just not there. And I think the average compensation back then had also shifted quite dramatically, right? It had reduced quite a bit that from what I remember. So it took me time, took me 4 years. Fortunately, I had a strong technology and engineering foundations, to help me through that
Is
phase.
USC a good technology school?
It's a good school. It's a good engineering school. Yeah, it's probably one of the top, I would say 15 or 20 in the US.
Was that the only school you applied at that
I
point?
applied to, I think, 7. I got accepted from a few. USC was not my first choice. I remember having conversations with my cousin back then, who was already here and was already working. And we talked about options, and he was like, be in California if you can. And that makes a difference.
Why is
especially, I think for technology industry in general, I think California is such a huge market, not to mention Silicon
California
Valley.
in general, it's like
It's such a huge market.
it's God gift
Yeah,
to
when you were
humanity.
trying- yeah.
Yeah. So for technology in general, I mean,
yeah.
like Silicon Valley, we all know kind of how
Right.
big it is
Yeah.
for technology, but even Los Angeles, it's not far from Silicon Valley. And I mean, back then, the concept of working from remote was not even
there.
existing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you got to be kind of close to where the jobs are, right? Just wanted to be in California, basically, and that's why I chose USC. But yeah, I mean, it was hard. I mean, finding a job was hard. Keeping up and performing to expectations in that job, because there was more scrutiny over everyone, right? Like every penny that companies were shelling out had to be kind of for a meaningful role, right? So it was, jobs were not free.
And
Yeah.
it's also the visa situation is also not
Yeah,
great for people coming, like immigrants like us.
yeah.
Like you have to reapply for a H-1B visa and that go through that whole process and finding that job and making sure that they would be willing to apply for you. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, could you tell a little bit, just for our viewers, also explain like what H-1B visa is, what that process is?
And has that shifted today? Like, are there any new rules and regulations that have come in place?
It has gone through a few shifts. So H-1B visa is, so we came here, I came here on F1 visa, which is a student visa,
visa.
right? And then if you want to continue working, you get like few months of OPT,
Right.
which is a training program. You get an EAD card and you can use the EAD for working for a few months. But then if you want to continue working, you have to switch to a visa, right? And H-1B visa is an employer-sponsored visa. It allows you to work here.
But it's also like for a highly skilled.
It is
like
for
it's
highly skilled. Yeah.
highly skilled,
There are a few criteria that you
workforce,
have to, that you have to prove, and you have to show evidence that you match the expectations and those criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, when I graduated or when we graduated, it was easier to get an H-1B visa because jobs were just not there. So, there are, I think they have like 75,000 or so H-1B visas that they give out every year. But if you are in a busy market, if you are in a competitive market, then you enter what they call, which is kind of lottery system, right? So you're not guaranteed that visa, even if you are skilled enough and if you are eligible for that visa, but you enter a lottery.
And even if you have a job.
Even if you have a job, right? Another thing to factor in now, right? If you want to come to the US, that there is no guarantee that you will get a visa, which makes things even more challenging, this kind of hurdle, right?
Yeah.
When we were talking about like be prepared to fight, I mean, it includes fight for immigration as well.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, Kushal, like you have, of course, like stayed here for a long time. Now you're well settled. You have invested in assets over here. You have houses and you are still at a leadership position right now. How do you keep up with the uncertainty of the visa situation? And what would you advise to folks who are trying to build their career over here, but at some point they feel like, I just want to be stagnant or content here because I don't know when I will have to go back?
Yeah, so I would recommend people to start. Don't take H-1B visas or employer-sponsored visas as a guarantee, obviously, but don't rely on them for a long period of time. Start finding ways to work towards more permanent status residency here, green card, basically. There are a few different ways, depending on what your expertise is, what skills you have, what your experience has been. But start that early, I would say. If you are coming as a student right now, start thinking about and building towards a plan, building a plan towards it from a very early point. Even when you are in India, start researching options and how you would want to model
Right.
something that allows you to get to a permanent residency sooner rather than later, right? Because time has compressed now. You don't have a lot of time to figure things out. It was easier back then, but now you got to start early.
Let's just say I have this podcast show that we are running. We have an entire process that goes from, guest strategy to guest engagement to doing pre-production to research to the production day. And then there's a post-production workflow, right? I mean, it's a workflow very specific to what this is, like a 22-step process. If I were to start building agentic AI to move the work along, essentially become my primary lead project manager, is it easy today that someone like me who has zero idea of reading code or even understanding code go build one agent myself?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for agents, to be honest, you don't even need to code anything.
Okay.
Right. Or you don't even have to review codes.
So is it more like the,
Just
what was it back in the day? Like, what is like, if this, then that? Remember the ITTT?
So think of agents as these programs that are nothing but prompts that you are writing and encoding into what you call an agent, right? So for example, I have like an AI assistant that I've built that runs every morning at 8 a.m., looks at all my emails, all my Slack messages, all the Jira cards that I'm tagged on, all the documents that I'm being tagged on, and gives me a brief for the whole day to prepare me for the day and what my focus should be.
And can I connect it with Alexa or Siri so I can almost have like my own Jarvis?
I think you pretty much can.
Like Avengers Jarvis, Iron Man system.
I don't exactly know if you can. You can probably figure a way out right now. It's not going to be one click, I think. But that's
Slowly
where the
we'll be
industry is
there.
heading,
Yeah,
right?
that's what, like, slowly we'll be there.
Can I get my daughter ready for school and send her?
No.
That I feel will happen when
we
you
have the robots
when
in the
you have
house.
robotics combined with AI, right, working together.
Right.
Is when I think that may become a reality, which probably will happen, I think, in the next decade or two.
Yeah, because getting her ready for school is probably the hardest task.
Honestly, the only thing that these AI agents and large language models cannot do right now is physical things, right? Besides that, you can pretty much automate a lot of things with these AI agents right now. And that's what I would encourage. I mean, even if you're not in technology industry, you have nothing to do with technology. Like you were asking, can I do this if I've never coded? I've seen people who have never coded in their life recently, within a month, build these sophisticated, complex, autonomous trading systems that are just trading for them the entire day on stock market, on crypto,
markets,
and they're making money with these systems. They're making like thousands of dollars per day just by coding these systems.
So now,
tell us a little bit more about it. Give us an example.
Yeah, give us an example. And like, do I need to know stock market, or can that figure it out for me too?
Because we've been hearing all of this so much but what's the behind the scene, step by step?
Yeah, so let's talk about a trading system or trading agent, right? Or trading software, if you want to call it. So that will require some level of programming, coding, configuration, kind of maintaining your code, making improvements to it. So what I would say is, again, get Claude, right? Open
Better
Claude.
than ChatGPT?
Oh yeah, I mean, especially if you are doing anything with technology, software in that domain, definitely much better than ChatGPT is probably a bit more generalized or generalist.
I think that's what I realized because like even in writing, Claude is a great individual contributor, whereas ChatGPT is better strategist. Almost, right?
Yeah, probably. And I think Claude has a better like feedback loop system where it asks you for suggestions, recommendations, and stuff like that. Go to Claude Code, start your first project. If you don't even know where to host the project and where to kind of how to configure GitHub and all that stuff, ask it to do it for you. It will do it for you.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah. So like whatever you don't know or whenever you are stuck, like ask AI, ask Claude to fix it and it will fix it for you, right? It'll obviously require some back and forth. But start your first project, right? Ask it, hey, look, I know this much about trading industry, right? Can you build me start with a simple system. Can you build me a simple system that can kind of transact cryptos or stocks on a daily basis? I'm not a day trader. I don't want to be trading like every 5 minutes, but this is the kind of frequency that I would like to have in day trading. Like I want to focus on S&P. So let's give it those instructions, right? It will create a project, probably will ask you like if you want to do it in Python or Go or whatnot, right? It will create some configuration files basically, and it will ask you to put like API keys for your trading platforms. It's still not perfect, and that's why you still need engineers to like oversee, review, and validate everything that AI is producing, and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do, right? So that requires a bit of learning, but I think if you spend enough time on it, you can quickly build a system that is autonomously running and doing all the trading for you while you're doing other stuff, right?
Yeah. So tell me this, because this was coming off. So I heard it was a keynote speech that the CEO of NVIDIA was giving, where he goes like, the role of your IT department and engineers in the future with all these agents that you'll be building, it'll be more of an HR department than the technology department. What's your point of view there?
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting proposition.
Because engineers are kind of managing all these agents now, right? Like,
yeah, so the landscape will certainly shift, and we are seeing a shift right now. I mean, what I'm seeing now is the best engineers who are really doing exceptional work right now and are better than the others are thinking of problems as not engineers or coders or programmers, but as builders, right? They're not thinking about, oh, I am given this task, I have to write code for this task, or ask AI to write code for this task. So what I'm seeing builders do now is you have MCP connectors and tools everywhere now. What I'm seeing builders do now. So MCP is Model Context Protocol. It is basically a way for large language models to talk to other systems.
not to be confused by MCB, which was Municipal Corporation Board.
Yeah, going back to, so what new age builders, what they're doing now is they are setting up their environment where they are coding, right? And that environment is connecting to all these MCP tools with Figma, with Google Drive and stuff. And they're asking AI to figure out, read this product requirement document, figure out what needs to be built. Then go to this Figma, connect with my Figma MCP and look at these designs that have been built, right? And write code that implements these designs and bring them to life.
So would you say, where's the research aspect here? Like, I feel like in this process, the research is completely missed.
I think that is true.
Because to really build a product, you need to figure out the actual need from the customer, like the end user. Like, is there a need for it or not? Like,
I think there's still a need for it. I don't think that bridge has been built yet. And that's where I think you still need human intelligence, right? You still need people to figure out, like,
so even before building these PRDs, you need to go and do the research to find, like,
you need to understand the problem.
See, I'm in my head just going into this world where I have all these agents just making my life easy.
Yeah.
You know, and it almost comes back to that immigration conversation, which was like, when we moved here, we were so dependent. Like, are we going to get too dependent as society on these tools that one day when we go to Mars, then it's like, where are all my agents doing all this tasks for me?
Yeah.
There still will be some human aspect, I believe, that would be needed to really make, like, how would we even move those agents if we are not giving any command to them?
Can we build another agent to do it?
I mean, that's
eventually there'll be a time, right? But anyways, coming back to MCPs.
Yeah, but to
And
your
the
point, I
research,
mean, the research aspect, you still need human intelligence, right? To understand, like, first of all, even understand, why are we doing this?
Exactly.
Right? What is the pain point? What is the customer problem? What is the customer challenge or the user challenge, right? Figuring those pieces out, it still requires human work, manual work, human intelligence to break those things down. And then I think, like, the technological aspects are kind of, you can agentify those, right? But yeah, I mean, that part is still very manual. And I think we'll continue to stay that way, right? Because there's a boundary, there's a line that agents cannot cross, where there's this complex process of, like, the way humans think. Even though, I mean, agents are now building personalities,
They
right?
are.
And they are kind of
What was that
Have
social
you heard-
media
yeah,
thing?
I was about to say that. There's a
You know,
new
Meta just
social
bought it.
media to
Like, there was- remember the-
because they have created their own
for
social
agents, like
media.
there's a social
I
media
have
where
to
they're like,
look for it
you know, like
once again.
they
talking
can
about
chat, they can
humans.
interact, yeah, and they start
Yeah.
building personalities, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
start going deep into like a certain kind of personality and certain kind of thinking, and that becomes part of their personality. So yeah, I agree. I mean, these things will kind of transpire. They will happen. They will evolve. They will grow. But at least today, I think that word
Molt
is still
book.
not perfect.
It's called the Molt book.
Molt book, yeah.
It was launched in early 2026, allowing AI agents to interact with each other, which was crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen all the memes coming out of it. Say, like, we are on the back
Like, they
end,
were
on the
talking
social
about
side of things.
humans, which was
You're come from the technology side, and we are on the social media side of things,
Yeah.
and we're like looking at all these memes, and it was
Yeah.
like hilarious stuff. You know?
Yeah, and what we are seeing interestingly right now is also like you have systems where agents can directly like post messages and post reviews and stuff to these
Right.
systems.
But can they interact?
You're seeing agents like fight with each other and chat with each other and argue with each other on these things.
Do you think they have a secret language? Like, at least the verbal language that we know
I am
of,
sure they will
that we
build-
see, but do they have like a language that we even don't know?
I mean, who knows? They come up with a language.
Got it.
You got to train it in a certain way where it can start thinking about the fundamentals of a language and start building a new one, right?
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
to train it on the fundamentals of what goes into language creation.
So,
Okay.
Kushal, you gave an example of how you have built an AI agent for yourself who acts as an assistant. How are you building, as a leader, building your team successful for the new technology that's coming up right now in Feedonomics? What's new in the upcoming years?
Yeah, but first, tell us
Tell
about
us a little bit
Feedonomics.
about
Tell us
your-
about your
yeah,
job. Tell us
yeah.
about your phase that you're in right
Yeah, so Feedonomics is part of Commerce Inc. Family, which is a public company, publicly traded company. At Commerce, we are building next generation intelligent solutions for commerce. Commerce Inc. also owns BigCommerce, which is one of the biggest e-commerce platforms in the world, I would say after Shopify. And at Feedonomics in particular, what we have is we basically have an infrastructure that empowers global retailers, brands, and merchants, including many Fortune 500 companies as well, to figure out how they can get their products to where shoppers are shopping these days. That includes Google, that includes Meta, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, ChatGPT. You can also like buy products on ChatGPT itself now.
All the
Perplexity.
marketplaces, essentially.
Yeah, Stripe, PayPal, Amazon, Walmart, you name it, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we have. We have an infrastructure that allows you to get your products out there.
Yeah.
Optimize your catalogs and condition those catalogs, transform those catalogs so that they perform well on all of these channels, because every channel has its own unique requirements and nuances, right?
So 2019 to 2023, I think you joined Feedonomics as a senior engineer.
Yep.
And you had
Yeah.
a very rapid ascent into now becoming their chief technology officer. For a lot of young people in your field or in any field looking at this interview, what are some of the principles that really helped you ascend so fast, in 4 years from that role to the role that you're in right now? Like, what was your playbook? What was your framework? What were some of the things that really set you up for success? So could you share that as a learning with our younger generation?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So when I came to Feedonomics in 2019, I was already leading engineering at Ad Media, which was the previous company I was working at. I was a global team. So I honestly took a bit of a downgrade coming into Feedonomics because I wanted to take a bit of a risk in life, right? And I came across this company and I was hiring engineers, very much a startup culture, right? Very new, growing. There were challenges, right? Honestly, basically, it was a cost or an investment into the future. And I thought that I should take this risk now.
That's
because
the
I
Delhi
was,
boy in you.
kind of, I would say. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
exactly, right? So I was at
That's
a
the Delhi
point.
fire, that we all have.
Yeah, I was at a point where I was kind of bored with what I was doing at Ad Media, or I was just gotten too used to it, and it was just kind of become part of
We call it in Delhi. We call it chul.
Yeah, chul machi hai to wo matlab kuch
Chill.
karna hai next, right? So you had to try to do. I had to try to do something different. Yeah,
Right.
something that is not going to be typical or
Yeah.
traditional. I could have gone to like another well-established company, as like maybe a manager, director, or whatever, right? At that point.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do something different. So I joined Feedonomics back in 2019. I was fortunate to be a part of this rapidly growing phase in the company where I had a role to play as well in not just building the engineering organization, but helping the company grow as well.
Right.
So that progression that you spoke
Yeah.
about over the 4 years, obviously there was a lot of hard work behind the scenes and whatnot, right? But when it comes to principles, I think there are probably a few principles that I still follow. Some of these principles, you explicitly make them part of your life, and then some just come with experience, right? So there are 4 or 5 that I stick to on a day-to-day basis. I even have an acronym for this. You would be fascinated. It's called DANDA.
Danda.
It's a stick.
So danda in Hindi means like a
Stick.
bamboo stick.
Yeah. It's just like you gotta have like a stick that you can remember every day that's
Right.
pushing you, right?
Yeah.
So this is my stick that's pushing me every day.
So tell us what danda stands for.
So with the it's funny. So with D, the first D, ground yourself in data, right? Like the more you ground yourself in data, the better your decisions will be eventually. So I think data-oriented decisions, it's really important to do
Yeah.
it. With A, I have convert ambiguity into clarity, because I think
Okay.
that's part of the role as a leader. Like, you're responsible for translating business needs, business
Yeah.
requirements, objectives into language that your teams will understand. So there's a lot of ambiguity at the higher level, at the higher layer, right?
Yeah.
But you need to give your team clarity to be able
Yeah.
to operate. With N, learn to say no. I think it's more important to like understand what you should be focusing on. As a leader, you have to cut out the noise, and you have to understand what are the things that you should say no to. I think it's really important for focus. Then with the second D, it's making decisions right. And it is not equal to making right decisions. It's completely different things. Making decisions right means you, in a fast-paced business world, speed is often more important than perfection, right? So make your decisions, and you will figure out ways to make those decisions right.
Yeah, and you will iterate.
You will
along the way.
iterate,
Yeah.
right? You'll go through the OODA loop is what we call
Yeah.
it. And then with the last A, it's accountability. You have to be accountable as a leader.
I love this.
I love
Kushal.
this.
Yeah.
I love the danda.
Yeah.
I'm gonna print it.
That's my
we should print it
daily
here.
danda.
Yeah.
We'll print it.
We'll have it here.
Yeah, daily danda.
Yeah, daily danda.
Yeah.
When did you come up with it?
It's
Is it pre-chat GPT or post-chat?
no, it was pre-chat GPT.
Garam masala or meat masala?
Meat masala.
You can only cook one cuisine for the rest of your life. Which one are you going to choose?
Indian.
Which is your favorite constellation?
Ask me your favorite planet.
Your
What-
favorite planet?
Saturn.
Why?
I think just the dynamics are so different from other planets, right? The ring and so much that you can see with the telescope.
Shani Bhagwan.
Yeah.
Saturn is Shani.
I know. Intuition or recipe in the kitchen?
Intuition.
What about coding?
Intuition.
Earth or space?
No
Space.
explanation loud.
Space.
Space. Mumbai or Delhi?
Delhi.
Which of the Khans? Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, or Amir Khan?
Salman Khan.
Favorite cricket team?
India.
What's one dish you tried to make you totally failed?
I often fail. I mean, even with dishes that I've done really well in the past, there would be occasions where you will just mess things up. I think there has been a few occasions where I've tried to fry chicken and it's just not turned out well.
But you don't fail at biryani.
I've failed on that too many times.
In the beginning.
Not just in front of you.
Not in front of you.
Who's one CTO you feel like is killing it?
Right now, I think Anthropic in general as a company is killing it. But I think NVIDIA is so good as well. I mean, their CTO is amazing. They are far ahead of a lot of the other businesses in terms of the advancement of their technology and how they're using technology to build the next generation of software.
Yeah.
So I really like what they are doing and how their CTO is leading their organization.
Hardest thing to learn about coding in one word is?
It's not hard anymore with AI, but back in the days, I think compressing code. I mean, and when I say compressing code, kind of making it concise, but at the same time, kind of
Effective.
keeping it relevant.
Great. That's the same thing with writing scripts, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, Peppa Pig or Bluey?
none.
Himani or Myra?
Himani.
Good answer.
Nice, smart answer.
Okay.
So coming back to Feedonomics, Kushal, I know we were talking about your journey over there and what were the tools or what was the path that you took and helped you become successful or reach the level, the CTO leadership role that you are in right now. Share a
Yeah,
little bit.
you were sharing your journey. You were sharing like
Yeah.
you had taken a step back to really
And then-
leap ahead.
Yeah, and then I would be very interested to know and learn about what are some of the AI technology and impact that you as a leader, as a technology leader, getting into the company and what it looks like in the future.
Yeah, like as a CTO, like how has your role shifted?
Yeah. So first, what I did to kind of climb the ladder, I think at every step of the way, my main goal has been to kind of go for the gap. So going for the gap at every step of the way is kind of my main philosophy. There are always gaps, right? No matter what role you are in, and improving the state of the technology, the processes, the systems act as force multiplier basically by improving those things and leveraging economy of scale, right? I think that's kind of the core philosophy that has helped me every step of the way to kind of go from one step to the next. And then I think in terms of what we are doing with AI right now, there's a lot that we are doing. I mean, we are empowering our organization to use AI more and more to be more efficient, more effective, using tools like Claude, ChatGPT, Codex, Copilot. Coding problem has been solved, right? But the majority of the effort has shifted towards reviewing the code, right? So that has become the new bottleneck, right? But how do you solve that bottleneck next is basically what we are investing a lot of like effort and investment in right now. And then beyond that, we are building solutions, AI powered solutions that help merchants, right? But also enabling merchants to start transacting on agentic commerce more and more. Partnering with Perplexity, PayPal, Stripe, Google, even OpenAI more recently to try to get these merchants to be able to send their catalogs, their products to these channels where shopping happens nowadays. A lot of shopping happens nowadays. So it's a mix of these things that is kind of evolving our organization, our business towards the next era.
With just all this like rapid transformation happening in the world with AI, like your role as a chief technology officer, I mean, I know you and I spoke earlier where with like the expectation, the pace at which you have to evolve, not just your skill set, but also train up your people, but also the technology stack that you're offering, the technology stack they're using, right? Like how is this role, just again, like this is probably for budding engineers who one day want to become a CTO. How is your role and the expectation, the KPIs, all of it that comes with your role have shifted with AI? And what are you doing to just constantly be relevant? I mean, because now it's the game of being relevant, right?
It is a game of relevance. In terms of KPIs and like OKRs, right, that we build. Like interestingly, some of our OKRs this year are increasing the efficiency of our teams by X% by using AI, ensuring there is AI adoption within the engineering org, and it's adopted 100%, right? A lot of companies, what they are doing is they're also mandating that X percentage of the code should now be produced by AI, right? So like
That's great.
There are companies that are coming up with these mandates. We are doing a lot more on the efficiency side, adoption side right now. And for like people who just want to be kind of or curious to learn kind of how they can kind of climb up the ladder, I would say like spend a lot of time doing research, self-learning with AI, learn these tools, learn what you can do with them. Opportunities and the possibilities are honestly endless right now.
Right.
Go to the fundamentals as well and see how you can connect the fundamentals of what you have learned with these modern age tools and where you can go from there, right? I think a lot of what I'm seeing right now, like a thing that people miss or don't get right is people focus a lot on, I have this technology now, what can I build with it? Is there something cool that I can build with this technology? I don't think that's the right way of going about it. I think the right way of going about it is technology will change, it will shift, build for humans, right? Like find a specific problem, a pain point, a niche that you deeply understand, immerse yourself in the problem first. Like it should kind of come to you as the back of your hand, the problem itself.
Yeah.
Don't think about solutions or technology that you're going to be using to solve that problem.
Right.
That should come later. But a lot of people start with technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And think of like, let me build this cool thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of inefficiency right now, no matter what industry you're in, what domain you're in, what systems you use. There's so many inefficiencies, so much friction between these systems.
It
Think
again
about
comes
those.
back to the need.
Yeah.
Human
what
need,
is the
but also
human
just
need?
core human
Yeah.
values, right?
Yeah.
Like to be successful, you can learn all the tech stuff, whatever. Now probably with AI you don't even need to learn, but like it's the human values. Like be curious.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot of like the how, the soft skills,
Talk to people, right?
The way of being, right?
Do
which
your
is
research,
which is
right?
very
Yeah.
basic. Like
Yeah.
be a researcher, have curiosity, ask questions, go the extra mile.
Right.
And I feel like today again for the younger generation with AI coming in, right? Like the skill gap has gotten so much, right? Like the gap is increasing every day because a lot of lower level tasks are now done by AI.
Yeah.
Which a lot of young people used to do back when they came
Yeah.
in the industry, and
Yeah.
then they do not, because they don't have the practice of learning and understanding and making their own frameworks. The people who have learned those frameworks are utilizing AI in such fascinating and more evolved ways that that gap becomes more and more and more, right,
It is.
between the
Right.
younger
Yeah.
generation, right? Like so
And-
like probably that's where maybe education needs to go, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is like teaching them these human fundamental basics as opposed to teaching specialized subject matter
Your
expertise.
entry level role will shift,
Yeah.
right? What you call a senior role, senior engineer role, will probably become your entry level role down the
Yeah.
line, right?
Yeah.
But what needs to change in the education industry for people to get there faster? I think that's the gap we have right now, and that
Yeah.
is like what industry
Still
experts are
evolving
saying.
right now.
Yeah, and people are saying that it's going to create this industry hollow, right? Like, where are your next generation of senior engineers going to come from,
Yeah.
right?
Right now, you said like the new role would be not the senior software engineer, but it would shift to something else. So what is that new business model? Where is it shifting towards? Like what that hierarchy would be?
It's probably happening in a few different ways. I think number one, I feel organizations are getting leaner.
Yeah.
The layers are reducing. You're eliminating layers now, right?
Is it because of the AI?
I think it's a mix of two things. I think AI certainly has had a huge role to play into this, because what it has done is it is allowing organizations and people to work more efficiently.
To
Obviously,
be more
right?
automate.
Yeah, but then I think what it has also done is it has probably created a wave or triggered a wave where boards and executives and senior leaders are all of a sudden kind of introspecting and have been realizing that, gosh, we've probably been running quite inefficiently for a while now. Not just, it's just not created efficiency, but it has also kind of created this wave where people are introspecting and asking these questions. So
We just got a news. Karan, do you want to read it out?
All right, we just got this news from our producer, which said Meta to cut 10% of the workforce in AI push. The layoff affects about 8,000 employees, with Meta also planning to close about 6,000 open roles as the company focuses on AI.
Oh, wow.
It's huge, 14,000 people. What's your point of view? I mean, obviously, we all know it was coming, but it's coming very, very fast. And 14,000 is a huge number. Like, just because you are plugged into that world, what do you think is going to happen? But also not just from a companies and the systemic shift point of view, all these people who are going to get laid off in mass numbers.
Yeah.
What do? Do they go become all plumbers? Because there's going to be a big surging need. Boomers are getting old. We need a lot of nurses. Like what's happening? Like what's going to happen?
yeah, I think so. Like, I don't think the question is that whether AI will take all the technology jobs or not. I think the question probably more is, will we be able to, or will an individual be able to
Survive
evolve
and
fast
evolve,
enough
yeah.
with AI
Right.
to sort of have some sort of a role in the future, right?
Yeah.
I think like that reinventing yourself is becoming more and more critical for software engineers right now. So you cannot continue doing things the old way, the traditional way. And unless you are reinventing, and like I gave you an example of builders, right? Like how they are kind of connecting with all these different systems using AI agents and like shipping faster. Like I'm literally seeing POCs and MVPs that used to take like a month.
So tell us
to
what
build.
POC,
So POC
MVP is.
is a proof of concept
Yeah.
product.
Okay.
And MVP is most viable product, right?
Yeah.
And for a POC that used to take like an engineer like a month to build, let's say, they're building it in like 2 days now. So unless you are operating with that kind of mindset where you can build and ship like at that speed, your job is going to be at risk. And that's a reality, right?
Yeah.
So
I have
it
this thing,
becomes-
if you're not fast, you're food.
yeah, exactly. You become food, right? So
Yeah.
like when the whole industry is trying to run fast, right? Like you got to be running with them and you don't want to be left behind. And
Yeah.
that's what we are seeing with these layoffs. I mean, some of these I think are kind of just organizations, like I said, realizing that there's a lot of inefficiency in the business that AI can help eliminate or address.
Right.
But some of it is also kind of people who are just not reinventing fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And we
like,
were just talking before, like how Facebook has been investing a lot more.
Yeah.
Could you talk about?
Yeah, so I think I read recently, Meta is they invested $150 billion in AI, just in AI last year, while their revenue was like $100 billion or something. So they're investing more than what they're earning or what they're making just in AI. That speaks so much about where the whole industry
they
is
spent
heading.
$150 billion.
$1 billion
Just
just
like
in
last
AI.
year, or like
I
plan
think
to
it
spend?
was last year, so I
Okay.
think this year is probably going to be even more.
Even
wow.
more. So the layoffs that has just happened, like Karan just asked, like how do these people or how do anybody be prepared for these unforeseen circumstances? Like, there's
Yeah.
no right or wrong.
I just feel like all these people who are getting laid off and this idea of speed that we spoke about, if you look at like in general, pre-AI world also, what separated high performers, high achievers from low performer, low achievers was that speed played a big part. You know,
Yeah.
the compounding effect of doing things one by one, right? Like if you have to go to moon, it's not a shot that's going to throw you there. You have to walk all the way to that,
Yeah.
right? Like, which is, again, I feel like a lot of younger people kind of take it, which is like the shortcuts,
Yeah.
which doesn't exist, and maybe social media plays a part to it. So like tell us about that, right? Do you think it's a lot of like mid to low performers who are getting laid off, or do you think it's just like in general everybody's just
No, I think it's not just the mid to low performers. I think it's, like I said, part industry shifting and part organizations restructuring with AI. Because, like I said, I mean, you don't need as many layers within your organization anymore. Because what's happening with AI
Yeah.
is two things: your information flow is getting more streamlined,
Yeah.
right? So, like, you don't need like 3 layers in your organization for the right structures to work.
yeah.
You can have literally 2 layers now. So organizations are kind of getting lean.
Yeah.
Then I think the friction that existed in terms of like building foundational software, doing foundational work. So you can, like I said, get a POC out there fast enough. And then you don't need like 4 layers to review that POC to make a decision on building that product, right? What you want is that POC goes to the decision-making layer right away, and it gets to kind of into the pipeline to be built as a product, right? So that's the speed that everyone is supposed to operate at, right? As an engineer now, if you are, and this is happening, like I have a lot of like talented engineers in my organization, like really skillful ones, and some of the most talented ones who are still doubting AI and are still not completely kind of invested in it. And they're like, what will happen to us? Like, where will our learning go
Right.
if we start using AI, right? Like
Yeah.
our institutional knowledge that we have built and our expertise will go extinct, right? But I think they're
So how do
thinking
you
about it the
shift
wrong
their
way.
mindset?
I mean, the paradigm is shifting, right? And we have the same thing in a creative too, right? Which is people are still opposing this thing, which
Yeah.
is rather than just going like the paradigm is shifting, let's get ahead and let's actually win and conquer that race, you know?
You gotta move forward with it, right? You
Yeah.
gotta evolve with it. So I think like what I tell to those people is like software engineering honestly was never about coding. Coding is just a tool, right? It was always about solving a problem, right? Solving a user problem, a consumer problem, building something, right? A lot of people and a lot of talented software engineers, and it happens more with talented engineers because they take a lot of pride in their coding abilities,
An
right?
ego.
In their work.
How
Right? There's
do
an
you,
ego there.
Yeah, how do you shift their mindset and how do you keep them motivated and build their confidence to keep up with
The
the
changing
shift
times.
that's happening right now?
I think it's about re-anchoring them to how software industry evolved and where it came from, which is, again, like I said, it's about solving a consumer or a user problem or reducing friction, right? it's also a battle and a fight that they are going through intrinsically, where they are figuring these things out, especially the more talented ones. They have certain ego, certain pride in their work. They are trying to figure out like what the new model for them should look like and how they should be operating with the new model. So I think like it's this convergence of all these shifts that is happening. And for organizations that do it right and find the right balance, they're doing it well. And there are some that are not doing it well. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, Amazon had a pretty major breakdown back in January, I think, where their .com website was down for like 5 hours or 6 hours, because what they had done is they had laid off a bunch of engineers, like whole teams, like hundreds of engineers, right? And they started enforcing and mandating that people should start using AI more regularly, and we're going to be investing. And like engineers obviously started putting less scrutiny on the outputs and on AI code, and they released changes. AI literally deleted their production database. So they were over relying on AI without putting the right guardrails in place.
I have a question, and it has like two sides to it. All these companies are now, so like Meta is installing these softwares on their employees thing, which is going to start tracking click rate and, scrolling and all of these different things that employees do, right? To start training AI model.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw, there was this one
yeah.
viral video in India that went viral, which was these giant factory with like these workers working, like sewing these shirts, but they're all wearing this little camera on their head because they're kind of training. It's like training data for AI models to start doing their job. So like two things, which is like one, from an organizational point of view, you do need to keep up and you need to progress in this world, right? And there's this whole idea of like, how do you do it? But then from an employee point of view, like, am I just writing my own resignation letter by participating in it? But I also don't have any other option. Like this conundrum, like as a CTO, tell me like, how do you deal with like not just the technological advance, but also the more, I mean, are you writing yourself out of a job one day as well, right? Like as a CTO.
I think like, honestly, if I am doing my job right, working towards making the previous version of my role obsolete. Like if I'm not doing that, then I'm not progressing. And
That's a great point of view. Yeah.
I'm not changing, and change is inevitable, right?
Yeah.
And like the goal for everyone in their roles, whatever it might be, is to be better than what they were yesterday and to do better, right? So if I'm not working towards that where a previous version of my role from 5 years ago as a CTO is obsolete and I'm still doing the same thing, I'm not doing justice, I'm not doing good work, right? So I think people need to start realizing that change is inevitable. It will happen. It's the only constant, right? It's the only truth. And the only thing that's happening now is change is happening at a very rapid pace.
True.
It is always happening at every moment in time. It's just happening at a different pace now than it ever has, right? And people need to start running and operating and evolving at the same speed, at the same pace. And they cannot just sit and say that this is fine, my job is secure, I'm fine, whatever your job might be. Even if you're running a shop, you're doing physical work. I mean, there's robotics that's going to come in next, right? Robotics with AI is going to be a huge thing as well. So,
I mean, we have already seen robots in restaurants serving food right now.
Yeah. Look, these shifts will happen. So you got to accept it. You got to embrace it. You got to change with it, evolve with it, and at a very rapid pace. So the demands are different now. Absolutely. If honestly, like if you are thinking that you will be able to keep your job secure and keep it this way it is right now, it's just impossible.
Yeah.
And you should work towards making sure it's not possible. I mean, you should work towards making sure that your previous version is
it's
not
about
needed
acceptance
anymore.
and curiosity to move forward.
Learning. It's funny, Shruti, as we entered entrepreneurial journeys, like we went from being leaders to being individual contributors to kind of doing it ourselves, which is kind of
for you guys.
like we had to do it because we didn't have an option.
Exactly. And like I said, I mean, a lot of these roles, their definition, requirements, expectations will just change in 5 years from now.
That's amazing. So Kushal, we are coming very close to our ending section. There has been a lot of learning today. I'm sure Karan would agree on that.
Danda is my favorite.
Danda is my favorite. You have to write it down for us, and we will make sure that we have printed and we have it framed here.
Cool.
So, like every time a guest comes to our learning lounge, we ask them about TLL advice? Like, what is that you could advise us? As you know, like, we have started this podcast, and you also know that we have been into, like, Karan is very passionate about streetwear and he's been building that collection. What do you suggest in your expertise with e-commerce and ad tech? How can we, like, what are those low hanging fruits that we should really adapt or apply to build that model for
Commercialize
ourselves?
our streetwear collection, to get to the masses, and like even from a Feedonomics, from an e-commerce experience, like what can we really
Like, if there's somebody
learn?
creating their D2C brand today, what should they doing right to make it there?
I think honestly, for e-commerce side of it, I think it all boils down to the data. If you have really strong foundational data about your products, about your catalog, and data today is not just product information, right? It's a lot of other things on products. It's reviews, it's business story, business narrative. What are you as a business trying to promote, right, with your products, right? What is your philosophy as a business, right? And what happens now is that 58% of, or roughly 58%, I would say, of product discovery journees now start on AI tools and AI systems. So think of it, more than half the people, like
we already at that level.
Yeah, if I'm let's say I'm going to Chicago next week, right? I want to figure out like what I'm going to an event, right? I'm going to a conference, and I want to know like what kind of based on the weather and stuff, like what kind of attire should I be wearing? I was asking you like, is it cold and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I just tried that in ChatGPT, and it gives me options on like can buy this and that, and sort of I can buy it with a single click right there on ChatGPT without even going to the store website, right? So like that's how rapidly these things are evolving, and product discovery is changing. It's starting from ChatGPT and starting from OpenAI and all these tools now. So the reason data is more relevant now is because large language models need more data than the traditional search models to be able to connect the intent, the user intent, the buyer intent with appropriate product information, right?
For something like a clothing line, where do I even begin? Like, how do you even get to a point where ChatGPT, Perplexity, or whatever, right? Like, how do we show up as a top search result?
That's a good question. So I would say you start with data first. You get that right. Get as much information about your products, about your business, about your philosophy. And then you use a service like Feedonomics, where you can use our service to get all these products marketed, published out there across hundreds of channels and not like 5 or 10, right? And we do it in a way where it's conditioned and modeled for the needs of the channel, right? So we take your data and we create like 100 different versions of your product data and your business information according to the needs of the channel, because that's where our expertise is. So you get across to so many channels in a single click using a product like Feedonomics, so you don't have to worry about that layer at all. So that would be my recommendation. I mean, start with data, get that right, and then get a system or a software or a service like Feedonomics. Hopefully Feedonomics, right?
I mean, now that this is an ad for Feedonomics, will you give us like some discount?
Of course, yeah.
For small
Absolutely.
businesses.
Family discounts.
Friends and family discount.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Coming to our audience section now, we have some questions that we have curated for you.
So the first question is, I moved to United States in 2024 to San Francisco for an opportunity at a software tech startup. But it's a world where AI is taking over and I feel overwhelmed. I know I'm capable, but would love your advice on what to focus on and where to begin.
Yeah, so this person is just starting out. Continue building strong foundations. Foundations are going to last longer than anything else.
Yeah.
Don't run after specific tools or specific niche technologies and stuff. Build strong foundations first, and then layer those foundations with advanced tooling that can help you kind of be amplified and make you more efficient. Yeah, I mean, still having like computer science fundamentals, right? And how software works, how computer science works is still paramount, I would say. So do focus on that piece, but also read a lot about what's happening with AI tools and how that's evolving, and how, try to start adopting those tools in your regular workflows.
Yeah, even if they don't teach you in school.
Even if, they will not teach you these things in school. So there's a lot of self-learning that has to happen right now.
I'm just curious, Kushal. I've asked this question before also, but I don't think we could get to it. Like, are there any tools or online resources that are reliable for folks to really go and look into these tools? Because as we were talking, there are like thousands of tools out there. Like, how do you make that decision of picking the right tool for yourself?
So I think I use a mix of few resources. I do a lot of my initial learning and introduction into this world through going out on LinkedIn and reading a lot of posts from CTOs, from founders, from entrepreneurs, and everyone, like, people who are doing phenomenal work with AI. There's a lot of content from LinkedIn that points you kind of, even software engineers and big companies like Meta, NVIDIA, Google, ChatGPT. There's a lot of content out there that they post on LinkedIn that's very authentic because, that's coming right from the source, right?
Yeah.
There are playbooks and runbooks and suggestions on how you can use Claude to do this and that. So I think LinkedIn is a great source. Then I think if you go out on YouTube, honestly, there's so many tutorials, videos on how to set these things up. Again, from some of the engineering organizations that are reputed, but also individuals. What I do often is I find some individuals who are active on LinkedIn, and I search for them on YouTube. And what I usually find is that they have a lot of good content on YouTube as well, if they are out there on LinkedIn, right? To learn AI, probably AI is the best teacher.
True. So another question we have is, if you were starting your career today, what would your exact AI stack look like in your first 90 days? What tools would you learn? What would you build with them, and how would you prove you can actually use them in a real world setting?
Great question. If I was starting out today, either Claude or Cursor or OpenX, I would prefer Claude. Like, I like Claude more than any of the others. Getting that integrated into your environment, right? Whatever you use to write code, right? Then building agents and skills with these large language models that can allow you to do a lot of the foundational things faster. So that would be, and then I think there are a few upcoming tools that make code reviews and architecture reviews easier. I think there's one called, if I'm not wrong, Code Rabbit, that is pretty popular to automate code review process, which is the new bottleneck, like I said, because code writing is easy, but you're still spending a lot of effort reviewing code. So there are a few upcoming tools like Code Rabbit that really automate that piece as well. So just getting all these tools integrated in your environment and getting fleet of agents that can automate a lot of this work is, I think, like the ideal goal for anyone starting new.
I have been working for an AI company for 3 years. If I already have a foundation but also want to level up, what tools or workflows should I focus on to move from being competent to becoming someone that teams rely on, not just theoretic knowledge, but actual practical?
Yeah. So this person sounds like is more of a in the middle.
Right.
Yeah. Like a
layer,
mid-level.
Right. Mid-level.
Career, yeah.
So I think for someone like this, you want to get to senior level positions. And for senior level positions, the way the role shifts is you are all of a sudden from completing tasks, you are responsible for driving full projects end to end, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of workflow, like I said, like having all these agents and everything deployed, so all of your, like, the whole cycle is getting taken care of from a tool perspective is important. But then I would, at that point, start thinking about how I can empower the rest of the team as well and start working as a force multiplier. So I'm not just doing this for myself.
I think this is a question out of curiosity from me as a follow-up on that, which is this world where you have certain very high-level generalists, strategists, people who know how to build and manipulate certain technological tools, and you also have these AGIs, just like these agents as part of your team. I mean, as a leader, right, I'm curious, like, what happens to culture, right? Like, I mean, you can't take agents out for like a happy hour. You know what I mean? Like, what do you do to build a culture in which it's not just us versus, like, it's, I don't know, what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I think you still need strong organizational principles. And, if you have certain principles and language that you speak within your own domain or your own department, right? You still need to have those things in place. I personally draw a lot of my leadership philosophy from, I don't know if you've heard of Patrick Lencioni's pyramid framework or pyramid model.
Tell us about it.
it's about building high functional, high performance teams, right? The pyramid has 5 layers basically, and every layer builds upon the previous layer, right? So if you don't have the previous layer, your current layer will fail. And the way these layers go is at the very bottom, you have trust. And if you don't have trust in the team, everything else will fail, right? And trust comes from being vulnerable, being authentic, being human with your team, right? Then after trust comes conflict, because if you want to have healthy conflict, which you should in a high performance team, it cannot be done without trust, right? After conflict will come commitment. Again, I mean, if you've not had a space to have healthy conflict, you cannot, as collectively as a team, commit to a goal, right? And then comes accountability. Again, if you've not committed to something as a team or even on an individual level, how can you hold a person accountable for something? You know, if you have committed to something, then you can tell that person that, hey, like this was your commitment and I'm holding you accountable now. And then at the end of it, the 5th layer is results, which is a summation of everything that you do on the previous layer. So I think something along those lines, it could be something else for you, something else that works for you, right? But having these as strong cultural principles within the team and still keeping things human is even more important now that the
Yeah.
world is turning kind of robotic and mechanical.
Goddamn, how to trust those agents? how to build that first layer of trust, you know? Like
Yeah.
With
it's
the
so hard to
Exactly.
trust humans,
Yeah.
you know? Like how do you trust agents, I guess?
Yeah. And that's the challenge that we are seeing in the industry right now, where there's a lot of work and effort that's going into validating and verifying what agents are doing, because it's still such a new technology.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kushal, for your time. I hope
Absolutely.
we loved the conversation we had today, learned a lot. And I hope everybody enjoys the conversation as much as we did. And we always have this section where we ask our guests to tell us about a book that is their favorite and why do they believe in that book, and would love for you to read an excerpt from it and sign it for us. And we always have like 2 sets of books, one that we keep it in our learning lounge, which is right here, and then the other one is we will be curating all these books, and one day our dream is to open an NGO and
Nice.
auction
Auction
it
them.
for that NGO where we could donate all that money to that
Awesome.
cause. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
such a nice thought, such a nice cause.
Yeah. So tell us about the book.
So this is book is called Legacy by James Kerr. This is a book about the principles that the New Zealand's All Blacks rugby team lives by. And the reason it's important is because New Zealand's rugby team is the most successful international sports team in the world. They have a win rate of 78%, I think, across 120 years.
Oh, wow.
Which is unheard of in international sports. So like this author kind of went deep into their culture to figure out like why this team is so successful and for so long, right? There has to be something that they're doing right that other teams are not able to do. Talent aside, right? I mean, you can find talented sportsmen, right? There are probably more talented people in other rugby teams than New Zealand's team, right? But what's working for them? What's different about them? So he went deep into their culture and found that there are 15 principles that this team lives by. Of these 15 principles, so what we did at Feedonomics, so 2 of our co-founders were ex-rugby players as well. They had represented South Africa and as well as USA on international rugby scene. And they built Feedonomics' culture around this book, around these 15 principles. So what I would love to do is to kind of, instead of just going through an excerpt, I think I can talk a little bit about a couple of my favorite principles from this book,
Yeah,
right?
please.
Would love that.
So one of my most favorites is actually, I think, the first principle here. You can adopt these principles in your personal life, professional life, doesn't matter what industry, what domain you're from. The first one is Sweep the Sheds, which is about character, right? And it says, never be too big to do the small things that need to be done. And there's real life stories in the book on each principle, on each chapter. And I think one of the stories in this chapter about sweeping the sheds is the captain of this team kind of, after a hard game, after a tough game, he's kind of seeing that there's trash, in their kind of in the area where the players are sitting and waiting. And he, after a hard day's game where he's had to do so much, he as a captain is going there and kind of sweeping all the trash and taking all the trash out and all that stuff, right? So it's about creating this culture, right, where everybody can kind of see it the same way. There's never anything that is too small.
And with
for
the
you as a
AI
person.
world, to your point, which you said, right, like even a CTO needs to be
Exactly.
hands-on, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you got to be hands-on. I mean,
Yeah.
you cannot leave everything to the other person. You
Yeah.
gotta do some things by yourself, and it doesn't matter what the job is. I mean,
Yeah.
if it needs to be done, if you see it needs to be done, you should go ahead
You
and do
should
it.
just go ahead and do it. Yeah.
that's great.
Then another one that is actually pretty close to me that I think I spoke about briefly in this conversation as well is go for the gap. Like you will always find gaps everywhere in businesses and organizations. And this line is actually very close to me. And it's also a philosophy that we have always lived by at Feedonomics, which is when you are on top of your game, change your game. Because often what businesses
That's great.
fall into a trap of is when they're doing really well, when they're succeeding, when they're going up, there's always this curve that businesses go through.
Right.
And there's an inflection point that every business goes through multiple times during their kind of, journey. But when you feel you're at the top, you got to change it. And you have so many different examples from the business world. You think of Amazon, you think of Netflix. Kodak, right? Netflix, if you remember, was such a successful DVD rental company back in
Right.
2007 and 8. Their business was phenomenal, right? They literally dismantled their whole business model then and said, this is not what we're going to be doing, right? We're going to go into the streaming business. We're going to go into the digital business.
It's adapting to the shift of the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think these are probably two of my most
That's
favorite
great.
principles.
That gives me hope
Yeah.
because we are in the middle of shifting our business model.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's
I
great.
was thinking exactly on
Yeah,
the same
cool.
line.
All
Yeah,
right.
Great.
Thank you, Kushal, for this conversation. I actually learned so much in this conversation. I
Yeah.
will be immersing myself in building some sort of an agent over the weekend that just kind of just gives me the download for the day. Danda is something we will actually put it in the lounge, So thank you for this conversation. And thank you very much for everybody who tuned in and made it to the end to listen to me saying this. If you found value out of this, if you learned something, if you share the same sentiment, share the same feeling, please share this episode with your friends, family, people you think that can use it. Tag us, like us, subscribe us, our channels. And we really, really hope to see you in the lounge again. Thank you
Yep.
very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Wish you the very
Thank
best.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Kushal.
And favorite moment from the book or the episodes?
Podcast.
Okay, from the podcast.
Okay.